Well, this isn't exactly where I wanted to be starting off with the part 2 stage of this, the painting stage, but I've had a few problems, so I thought it was worth making a point of this, just in case anyone else has any issues with these things. You'll see some pictures going across now of what state this got in. This one was fully sprayed with ROM 76 underneath and 81 on top, and then a couple of things happened. My error, I used ROM 83 and it was meant to be 81, which is like quite a bright green colour, for instance. So that was the first thing that was wrong. Secondly, I used Mr. Hobby paints, which I've used before, but I just get a few problems with these, just with drying times. They seem to take forever to go off, almost up to 2 weeks to be hard enough that when you pick them up you're not putting fingerprints in and stuff, which doesn't work for how I'm doing it. I'm probably doing something wrong, but I like to work quite quick, as I've said in the past, so I decided to sand it back. I also used Hataka ROM 83, and I just do not get on with this paint at all. It's a proper acrylic, so it's not like Tamiya or Guns paints. It's more like Vallejo, I suppose, and lots of people use these as well as they do Mr. Hobby, and no one has any problems. I'm sure it's me. I'm just, for my personal way of doing things, I just don't get on with them. So decided to strip it back. So I've painted Mr. Surfacer 1200 on. This is 500, but there's a finer one which is 1200, so I've painted that on just to get a smooth surface, and smoothed in any of the areas where the paint was a little bit thick, so you don't see it. I mean, if you just sprayed over after sanding some off, you'd get quite noticeable lines where the camouflage was. In fact, I had that there, so I sanded that back after putting on the primer, and I've redefined the panel lines, so everything's ready to go. So I'm going to use MRP for ROM 76 underneath. So the good thing with that is once that's sprayed, not only does it go down extremely thin, by the time I sprayed that flush through the airbrush, we'll be ready for the next colour. That would be rock hard because it's a lacquer, so that's good. And then I'm going to do my own custom mix of Tamiya paints for the top. So we're going to be doing ROM 81 and 82. We're going to be doing the camouflage version. Well, they're obviously both camouflage, but see if I can find it. So we'll be doing that one. So this is what I mean by camouflage. So you've got the hard splinter pattern on top. This is ROM 82 and ROM 81. So the dark colour is 81, the lighter colour is 82. And then this is where MRP will come in. So you put that down. You do have quite a lot of the underside colour, the 76 up here. And then with the MRP I'll be able to go in quite tight here, putting in the modelling, so that should look quite good. So I will get on with that, and hopefully we'll have no more dramas with this build. So the painting's finished now on this one, so this is moving on from the last bit where I mentioned I had a bit of an issue. This is being repainted with Tamiya, with my own custom mix for the ROM 81 and 82, with MRP ROM 76 underneath. And then we've done a bit of mottling on the side with the ROM 76. You can see here I've taken away the plugs that I use for the in-flight parts that you get included, so that's done quite well to mask off of that, so that was all very easy. And this has all just been sprayed with MRP white aluminium. We've also got the parts for the undercarriage here that have been sprayed as well, so you've got ROM 02 on the inside and 76 on the outside, and then the wheels are obviously silver. So it's a bit of an interesting scheme I've done here. So you've got the splinter pattern. I have gone for the mottling on the side. It's good to add a bit of artistic license, so I'm quite happy with that, and the MRP goes down very well. As you can see, there's hardly any overspray, and this is 1/72, so that's pretty good. And yeah, so I'm quite happy with that one. So I'm going to go ahead and get the undercarriage together, get this one gloss coated, and then ready for decaling. Right, so we're in the spray booth now, on the final hurdle, basically. I'm going to mat down now with, I'm using MRP Super Clear here, matte varnish, which is MRP 127, and I find this is very good. It's a nice thin layer, dries super fast because it's lacquer, obviously, and it gives a really nice hard coat, and it's not too, it's got a little bit of a satin finish to it, so I do like a bit of a shine, not dead matte. So I'll crank the spray booth up, get the mask on, safety first obviously, and we'll get this matted down, unmasked, and then hopefully have a sort of debrief and take some pictures. Now we're into the final stages on the 262. I've got all the decals on, they've been sealed. Obviously you've used microset and sole, and these have all now been sealed with a final gloss coat, and I'm going to apply the Flooring Models Dark Dirt wash here, which is a clay wash, so it's a water-based wash, just to give it a some depth to the panel lines. So it's a panel line wash, really, for want of a better word. And once that's on, I'm not going to go too heavy on the weathering after that, so I think we're put a matte coat down to dull it off, and then remove the masking on the canopy, and we'll be ready for the final reveal. So I'll go ahead and put this wash on now. And this is what the model looks like when it's when the Flory wash is dried. So it's quite a mess, but now it comes off quite easily. So if you just use a wet cotton bud, for instance, you just sort of rub across like that. Gives a sort of filter effect, so it darkens the paint and blends all the shades in, but also stays into the panel lines. So once you get it going, with a bit of water like that, tissue paper is quite good because it's a bit more abrasive. Just go in a circular motion, and that's the effect there. The wing cleared, and it's just staying in the panel lines. So I'll speed the video up and carry on doing this. So the 262 is finally completed here, and it's been a bit of a trial. Not necessarily due to the kit itself. The kit has gone together much like any of the recent Airfix kits, pretty much trouble-free. You know, when it comes to the seam lines, obviously you do get a bit of a problem where the join is. The issue is more the fact that you lose details, so you've got to rescribe stuff, which is the same with most kits. I mean, unless you're doing some of the real state-of-the-art kits, you tend to always have to do a bit of seam filling. The main issues are on the engine nacelles, where you do have to remove a bit of plastic on the underside of the top part of the wing to make sure it fits in properly. I didn't do that. I actually lined them up, used super glue around the front here, and then sanded them back in, but that was pretty new at the time. There weren't many people building it, and I've seen since that a few people on the internet that have done it have actually removed the correct bit of plastic and they snap in, so you might want to have a look for that when you come to do it. Obviously make sure you get plenty of nose weight in there. Mine's over. I mean, as you can see as I lift it, it's actually quite a lot of weight, but then, you know, at least I know it's not going to sit on the tail end then, so that's fine. Very nice detail here on the underside of the cockpit, as you can see there with the wheel bays, so that's very good. Very nice nose wheel bay detail as well. So yeah, I mean, no problem really. Decals were very nice, not an issue. You do need to watch out around the tail here. I mean, really, that would probably be better if you sprayed it or painted it. But I wanted to use the decals to see how they went on, and they were okay. It was just a bit of tearing around the fin here. Cockpit's very detailed. I've added some Edward seat belts because it looked a bit bare, but apart from that, you'll see in the pictures that I'm going to have at the end of this video. The decals for the cockpit instrument panels is absolutely fine. There's no problem there. I mean, unless you're getting right up close, which you're only going to be doing to your own model, you can't even tell it's a decal. So that's brilliant. Nice detail on the cockpit sides as well, and yeah, all in all, very good. You've got to watch this middle part of the canopy. There is a bit of a fit issue there, so if you're going to have it closed, you might want to test fit there quite a few times. Yeah, so the build, not a problem, like I wrapped up in the first part of the video. The painting I had a massive issue with, which was more my fault. I've got rid of them here at the minute. I've put them in a drawer somewhere out of the way, but I used Hataka paints, the acrylic range. I think it's the early form, so I'm not going to bash on Hataka paints here. I struggled to use them. I see lots of people use them with no problems, and most people rave about them, so you might just want to give it a bit of research before you start using them. I didn't. I just put it straight in and had no end of problems, and I used ROM 83, so I was already onto a losing battle because it was meant to be 82. So I stripped the model and then went back to my own colours. So I've used MRP ROM 76, I think it is, on the underside, and then on the top I've done my own mix of Tamiya paints for ROM 81 and 82. And it's a straight splinter pattern there, and I wanted to add a bit of mottling down the side, which is a bit different to what you usually get. Now, when I first did it, I must admit I didn't like it. Since decaling and weathering and it's come together, it's sort of what I was going for. It's if you look at pictures of the 262s, actually not particularly this one, this is quite a famous aircraft. It comes to it seems to be, and that didn't have mottling like this. But if you look at quite a few of the other ones, it does seem to be random splotches like this. So that's what I tried to replicate. It looks very good, don't get me wrong, when you see models that are all perfectly mottled, but I'm not sure how realistic they are. And I'm talking from more of a point of view of with my modelling. I just like to look at a picture and try to replicate that, not necessarily worry too much about it being absolutely identical to the actual aircraft. So I just like to experiment a bit, and that's what I've done here, and I think it looks okay. And a nice bit of modelling up around the tail there, on the fin and the rudder. And you will see a swastika there on the tail, which I did add from the tech mod sheet. I don't always add the swastikas for the German aircraft, but I thought I would on this one because it's quite prominent on the 262. So yeah, that's no problem. Possibly it stands out a little bit too much. I probably could have dulled it down a little bit, but I wanted to push on and finish the build. The stencil data on the decals is very extensive, it must be said. And yeah, the only other things to say, obviously, like I said, the decal is very nice. The cockpit is snap fit as it goes up in there, which is fantastic. So it's one of the best fitting cockpits I've come across, to be honest, certainly in 72nd scale. And you can see the detail under there. I will make sure I get good pictures there. It's really very good. So top marks to Airfix again, I think, as long as you work around the nacelle issue and can sort of work, can put up with some of the other things that you get, like a bit of a dodgy canopy in places, and of quite deep panel lines, like we're getting with most Airfix kits these days. The rest of it's really good, so it's a very nice model. So I'll head on over to the photo booth now, get some pictures done, put that up for you, and that completes the build. So thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, give me a subscribe, or like the video, or leave a comment if there's anything you think you'd like to see added, and we'll see you in the next one.